Alright, today's Thursday. That means week 3 of the NFL will be underway tonight with San Francisco and the Giants playing. That means today I'm going to go ahead and give you my week 3 predictions. I'm doing pretty good so far. I mean, I haven't counted my record, but I know for a fact that I'm doing a pretty good job predicting this season. And so I'm just very eager to get more of this. The football has been awesome. It's back. It's been crazy. My fantasy football league has been crazy. Right now, I have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Don't ask me how that happened. But anyways, there's a lot of crazy games this week, so let's not waste any more time. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, comment down below. What is your predictions for week 3 of the NFL? People were wondering why I put this on my main channel. Because my second channel, for some reason, YouTube, for the longest time, will not let me log back in. I don't know what I did. I don't know why it won't let me. It just won't. So, for now, you're going to get these on my main channel until I figure out what the problem is. But it'll be out on my second channel eventually. Make sure you also go subscribe to More ZMC, by the way. That is my second channel. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started with Week 3 predictions. Niners and the Giants kicking off Thursday Night Football. And this isn't this kind of like a no-brainer? San Fran's going to win. I mean, the Giants they lost 40-0 to the first good team they played, which was the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys killed them 40-0. And everything about their team was weak. And then they played Arizona in the first half. They were getting killed. Then they came back. And part of me wants to say that Giants are going to be a good team. They played the Cardinals, though. The Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL. And so, technically, like, wouldn't the Giants supposed to win that if they weren't the worst team in the NFL? So, currently playing good teams this year. They are 0-1. Couldn't even score a point. Well, meanwhile, San Francisco played Pittsburgh, annihilated Pittsburgh, played the Rams, beat the Rams. And so, I mean, San Francisco has looked great. Brock Purdy's looked great. Christian McCaffrey looks great. Deebo Samuel looks great. George Kittle looks okay. This whole squad looks pretty great. And this is a team that I'm going to predict to win the Super Bowl this year is the San Fran 49ers. And so I'm not going to have them lose against the Giants. San Fran's going to beat the Giants in this matchup. Then we got Tennessee versus Cleveland. And Tennessee kind of pulled like a surprise win against the Chargers. Chargers, kind of suck, if we're being just a little bit honest. Chargers are not the best team in football right now. And so, Tennessee, one of my least favorite teams. Actually, they are my least favorite team. I despise the Tennessee Titans. Well, Cleveland, they've looked okay so far. They beat, who did they play in week 1? The Bengals. They beat the Bengals by a lot. Then they lost against the Steelers by their offense not being too good. They lost a crucial part of their offense, Nick Chubb, but Jerome Ford looked good. They picked up Kareem Hunt. So now they got Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford looked pretty good. The problem with this offense is Deshaun Watson. Monday Night Football, he could barely throw the ball more than just like an inch from out of bounds. Like, he didn't have accuracy at all, and it was Deshaun's fault that they lost that game, I think. And so, even though the Steelers have a good defense, the Steelers looked good. I'm going to say that Cleveland's not the best offensive-wise team. Their defense looks solid, though. They're playing Tennessee Titans, who won in overtime against the Chargers. They've kept their games pretty close, but I'm going to predict the Titans to win this one. Again, I'm going Cleveland. I'm voting for Cleveland. I want Cleveland to win 100%. I just don't see them beating the Tennessee Titans, especially not with this offense the way it is right now. They lost Nick Chubb. I just don't see them being the big powerhouse that they were supposed to be this year. The Falcons and the Lions. This game's going to be really good because both teams are surprise teams. Detroit barely lost. They lost against, I think it was, the Seattle Seahawks. They lost against the Seahawks in week 2. While the Falcons were down by a pretty long shot against the Green Bay Packers, and they came back and won it. The Atlanta Falcons with Desmond Ridder and Bijan Robinson came back and won the game. So these are two teams that are very much surprising me this year. Even though Detroit lost, they went to overtime, and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm not too happy about that. But they're playing Atlanta, who I think is the biggest surprise team of the year. Both teams are doing absolutely great this year, I think. But I'm going to have to pick Atlanta Falcons to be 3-0, and I would love to see the Atlanta Falcons be 3-0. I said in previous videos that I do not care about this division. I never once watched all these games, but this year when I'm watching Red Zone, I always like going back to the Falcons game. I think that the Falcons are fun to watch this year, and that's why I think that the Falcons are going to win this game and going to be one of the best teams. They're definitely going to win their division for sure. I'm really liking them. New Orleans versus Green Bay, going back to same division and then Green Bay. Green Bay should have won last week. They let Atlanta catch up and beat them. Jordan Love is on fire. Jordan Love is looking great. They lost Aaron Jones this week. They lost a big part of their offense, but he's coming back, I think, this week. I hope he does because I have him on my fantasy team and he's really good. Anyways, they lost Aaron Jones, but the offense is still looking good. Thing is, where their defense is, I've heard they were the bottom 4 of the NFL, and that's just not where you want to be. Meanwhile, New Orleans might be 2-0, but I don't think they're playing good football at all. They barely beat Tennessee. They should not have beaten the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers just have a rookie QB who's not doing the best so far. And so here the New Orleans Saints come in where they're just squeezing through to get by. I genuinely do not see them as a good team this year. I definitely think that they are the luckiest 2-0 team. I want them to be a good team because I really, really like Derek Carr. But I just don't see it. And even though I have Chris Olave who's doing great, Rashid Shaheed's doing good, so far this offense has not been doing all that great. The defense is, I think, pretty good though, but the offense has really not been doing great. Well, Green Bay, even though they might have lost last week, I think they're firing on all cylinders. I think that their offense is great. Even though their defense is not the best, they're still playing some great football offensively. And so I'm predicting Green Bay to be 2-1 in this matchup. Denver versus Miami, the Broncos versus the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are going to start the same way they did last year, 3-0. I absolutely like the Dolphins this year. I've liked them last year. I liked them ever since Hill joined their team. On Thursday Night Football, there's no way they should have won. There was a flag there that really should not have, not a flag, but there was a missed call. He was clearly across the line on that, I think. But then you got Denver versus Miami, where Miami has just also been on fire. Tua Tagovailoa has been great last week. The running back, Raheem Mostert, was on absolute fire. Tyreek Hill has been having a great season. Jalen Waddle has been having a great season. And so everybody on that squad's been having a great season. While in Denver, while they look better than they did last year, with Russell Wilson being solid, Sean Payton clearly coming in there, putting up in the shape. They're all playing better. And even though they kind of blew the lead against the Commanders, they lost week 1. They're 0-2. I do think that the Denver Broncos are going to be solid, maybe. But that doesn't mean they're going to beat the Dolphins. Sorry, Broncos, you're 0-3, and that does not make me happier. And the Miami Dolphins are 3-0. The 3-0 Dolphins are going to be an AFC team to be reckoned with. Los Angeles Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings, both teams, the Chargers have been looking great, I think. The coaching has been terrible, but the team has been looking great. They lost in overtime to the Titans. They barely lost to the Dolphins. And so they're playing good teams, and so they've almost beat them. And this is the unluckiest 0-2 team, I think, right now. But they're playing the Minnesota Vikings, who has not been able to hold on to the ball. Their offense has been good, except that they fumble the ball quite a bit. And so they almost came back and beat they beat the Eagles. They almost came back and beat the Bucks. And so Minnesota is a solid team. They just have a lot of offensive problems that last week they did not improve on. And so the Chargers, even though they might have lost again, I'm looking for a first win for the Chargers this week. I think I predicted the Chargers for their last 3 games, honestly, and they lost all of them. And so I'm really hoping that the Chargers get their first win here. I really hope that the Chargers become 1-2 because this is an unlucky team, and Brandon Staley is a terrible coach, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the Vikings, I am a Vikings fan. They're my second favorite team. They're my favorite NFC team. And so even though that I'm predicting the Chargers, I do hope that the Vikings win because I do like them. But we just had a lot of problems this year. Patriots versus the Jets. Now, the Patriots have not been having the best of season. They almost came back against the Eagles. They lost that game barely. They almost came back against the Dolphins. They should have won that game, honestly. But their offense, the more I see them, the more it's kind of improved during the regular season. They can't catch a win, but they've been doing better than I thought they would be this season. Meanwhile, the Jets were going to be great. Then they lost Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. And so he's out for the season. Now they got Zach Wilson. And that's a problem in and of itself. Number one, I don't think you have any faith in Zach Wilson, so you won't let him throw. So this is a mainly running team. Number two, when he threw 3 picks last week. And it's just like, you don't want to be throwing 3 picks to the same guy. And so I just don't see them coming into the Pats, who I think is a top 10 defense here, and going in and throwing 3 picks and still expect to win this game. I think that the Pats get their first win of the year. The Jets are really going to struggle. Even though they beat the Bills, that was a lucky break because the Bills were not doing good that game. But I think that they're going to get a lucky breakthrough here and maybe beat the Jets, because the Jets have Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson's a big problem in and of itself. But I want the Jets to win. I'm sad that Aaron Rodgers is not playing for them, and I want them to give Zach Wilson more of a shot, but he just does not have the chops so far that I've seen. The Bills and the Washington Commanders. This is going to be a very fun game because Washington Commanders are a surprise 2-0 team. The Bills are 1-1. Sure, they absolutely annihilated the Vegas Raiders last week, which was a good game, and I really was happy, even though I decided to play Tua Tagovailoa, who only got me 13 points, instead of Josh Allen, who could have got me 30. Anyways, and yeah, I lost. But anyways, Buffalo and Washington, because Buffalo is like a team that I'm really worried about this year. Their offense was back last week 100%. I just don't feel like they're going to be this great powerhouse as they are. I don't feel like them, the Chiefs, or the Bengals are going to be this great powerhouse that they once were. And so Washington is a surprise team. I think that they're going to win their division. Does that mean I'm going to bet against the Bills? No, I'm going to bet on the Bills. The Bills are going to win this game. But I do think that Washington's going to put up a fight, maybe even tie up the game, maybe even go into overtime, because I feel like Washington and Sam Howell, even though they've played so far the Cardinals and the Broncos, who are not good teams, I feel like they're going to be a surprise rising up from the ground team. So I'm going to go with Buffalo because I don't bet against the big three, but I feel like Washington has a pretty big shot at beating Buffalo this week. Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sorry, Houston. I just don't see it. C.J. Stroud has not been impressing me. Neither has Bryce Young for Carolina. Jacksonville has looked, for me, pretty good this year. They beat Indianapolis barely. They lost against the Chiefs barely. And so they look pretty good. Even though Trevor Lawrence, I genuinely don't think he's a great quarterback. Their team is pretty good. Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne. All this team looks pretty good, I think. I think that they're going to have a great season so far. They're definitely going to win their division. I don't see them losing to Houston and C.J. Stroud, who just cannot catch a break. They're not playing good football. I do not think that they're going to be a good team this year. While Jacksonville, I think, is going to be a solid team to win the division. And so I'm going to choose Jacksonville over Houston to win this one. The Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I believe Richardson will be back. I haven't heard if Richardson's going to be out for this game or if he's coming back with a concussion protocol. But if he's coming back, I genuinely believe that the Indianapolis Colts are going to be great. I had him in my fantasy lineup. He got more points than Tua in a whole game. Tua had 13. This man had 20 in like 2 quarters. And so that's crazy. Anthony Richardson's great. But I just don't have faith in Gardner Minshew. And so it depends on who their quarterback situation is going to be. But overall, I do think that Baltimore's a better team. Lamar Jackson, he had Mark Andrews back. They had a good game. They won last week. Barely, but they still won. They played some good football, I think. And so, against the Bengals, who was coming back as a better team. And so, Baltimore, I think, is going to win this one. But I do expect Indianapolis to put up a fight. This is going to be a real close game. But Baltimore's going to win it because it's Baltimore. And the Indianapolis Colts are going to be, I believe they won last week, right? They're going to be 1-2. The Baltimore Ravens are just going to win this one. Carolina Panthers versus Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's going to be 2-1. Easy decision. Just like the... what's their team name? The Houston Texans, that's right. I do not feel as if the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young are going to win this game. You can watch Bryce Young play, and he's not terrible, but he's not too good either. He's not been having a good season. He lost against New Orleans, finally got a touchdown near the end of the game. He lost against, I don't even remember who he played first week, but I know I believe it was Houston maybe. All I know is he lost, all I know is, I don't remember what happened in week 1. Whatever. It's not a good team so far this year. Well, Seattle, they beat Detroit in overtime. They did lose to the Rams, who I think that the Rams are going to be a good team. But the Seattle Seahawks, they're a good team. I genuinely believe that they are a great team. They just had a rough patch in week 1. I feel like the Seahawks are going to maybe not tie their division, but be like second, third. I don't know, but they're in a tight division this year. So Seattle's going to beat Carolina because Carolina's just not that. I see Carolina beating even worse than Houston for the rest of the year. Bryce Young, there's one thing that agitates me. The way he's playing, he's kind of just like standing there and just like handing the ball off. He doesn't have any hustle about it. It's just like he's kind of slow in this league. And you need to get some hustle if you're there. Not a real player. I know he's a rookie, but it's just something that's really bothering me. But Seattle wins this game. Then we got Chicago. We got Chicago playing, guys. Chicago versus the Kansas City Chiefs, baby. And we finally got a win in week 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we almost lost. Anyways, we're playing the Chicago Bears, the 0-2 Chicago Bears, who I think played pretty good against Tampa, but Tampa's really good. And so they did not play good against, I don't even remember who they played in week 1. They did not play good. Oh, the Packers. They did not play good against the Packers. So why would they play good against the Chiefs, right? We're the best team in the league. At least we should be. We're not anymore. But they're playing against the Chiefs, who Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good week last week. I feel like their offense did pretty good. And then, of course, you got the people on Twitter throwing the flag. They don't even throw the flag. Like, shut up, dude. We are a good team. And I feel like we're going to get the dub over the Chicago Bears. At least I really hope we do. Like I said, I'm really nervous about the big 3, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals this year. Because they're just not being as great as they once were. But I do feel like the Chiefs are going to win this game. And I genuinely hope Patrick Mahomes gets 30, 40 points. Because I'm in a tough matchup this week. Crucial matchup for the rest of my season in fantasy football. But I'm going for KC to win this one. Dallas and Arizona, we can just skip this one. You already know who the answer is. Dallas. They've already got, I think it's 70 points, 40 plus 30. Yeah, 70 points so far. They beat the Jets 30-10, annihilating them. They beat the Giants 40-0, annihilating them. These are all not good teams. And sure, they're playing not good teams, but the team has just looked great in general. So what are they going to do playing Arizona? Frick, they're going to score 100 points on them because Arizona is not good. And so I feel like that the Cowboys are going to be great. I'm playing their defense. Obviously, they're going to get like 30 points again for me. The Dallas Cowboys are going to annihilate in all cylinders. Sure, they're playing Dobbins, I believe is his name, for the quarterback. Kyler Murray's still injured, but Kyler Murray's not much better either. And so just this Arizona team they blew a big lead. They're just not playing great football this year, especially playing the number 1 team in the league right now, Dallas Cowboys. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And Pittsburgh, for me, has not looked like the best squad. I genuinely believe Monday Night Football was not the most interesting game. There was a lot of turnovers, not a lot of scoring. But Pittsburgh and the Vegas Raiders, like I said, Pittsburgh not the greatest, but neither are the Raiders. The Raiders are not the greatest. They played good football, I think, against the Bills, but they did not win. While the Steelers, they played all right football against the Browns, but they played the Browns, and of course they won. I don't know. I kind of want to go for Pittsburgh, but I think my heart's telling me that I should go for the Vegas Raiders. And so that's what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to go for the Vegas Raiders on this one. I mean, they got a stacked team. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, who I traded Josh Jacobs because he's not any good no more. But they are a stacked team. While the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're good. I just don't feel like they're going to be that great of a team, especially not against the Raiders. So I feel like the Raiders are going to get a lucky break and win their next game. We got 2 more Monday night games for some reason this week, starting off with Philadelphia versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 2-0 with Baker Mayfield. If that doesn't surprise you, I don't know what surprises you, because that surprises me, and I'm so happy because I'm a Baker supporter. Everybody hates on Baker Mayfield. I'm just sitting there like, I love Baker Mayfield, and I'm just so happy that he is doing great this year with a good team, and I think that they're going to be a fantastic team. Does that mean they're going to beat Philadelphia? No. Tampa Bay is going to take their first loss of the year. Philadelphia is going to be 3-0. Philadelphia is just too much of a powerhouse. Him and Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith have been hitting it off. A.J. Brown, I don't think is going to have that great of a season. I traded him away as part of my Patrick Mahomes trade. But Philadelphia and Tampa Bay, I just feel like Philadelphia is a great team on all cylinders, while Tampa Bay is a great team. They're just not going to be the best team, and Philadelphia is going to be that best team. Though I will be rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I really like them. Last game on this list, we got the Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams got issued their first loss last week against the 49ers, while the Cincinnati Bengals are 0-2. They finally started to play some football like they used to. But the Rams, I think, are, like I said before, I think they're going to come back to being a good team. And they're playing some good football so far. And so I don't see how they would lose against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that the Rams are going to be 2-1 and the Bengals are going to be 0-3. And that's going to be really sad because the Bengals are a good team. T. Higgins had a massive game. Ja'Marr Chase not doing great, though. What's his name? Joe Burrow's not having the best season. And so I just feel like the Rams are going to come in here, fire on all cylinders, and beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I kind of want the Bengals to start winning, but I'm going to go for the Rams. And so that was my NFL Week 3 predictions. Tell me down below, what are your predictions? How are you guys doing this season? Is your favorite team doing any good? Because mine sure is one of the most disappointing teams so far for me. Anyways, thank you all for clicking on this video. On my main channel, I got a lot more videos coming up. My next video will be a top 10 movies of summer 2023. So thank you guys for clicking on this video. With that said, subscribe.